Dear brothers and sisters and children, thank you for being here this evening. We request everyone to put your mobile phones on silent mode. We start with expressing our heartfelt gratitude to Swami for bringing Dr. Sainath Manikonda to Singapore. Brother Sainath is an alumnus of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. He joined Swami's College in 1985 for his undergraduate studies in physics and went on to complete his PhD in nuclear physics in 1995. He then joined the physics department in the institute as faculty member, a position he held until 2008 when he left the institute at Swami's explicit command. In the course of the 23 years he spent in Puttaparthi, he was involved in various activities including Grama Seva, sports meet, and several dramas presented in the Divine Presence. He has had the privilege of delivering over 50 talks in the Divine Presence and has spoken in several countries and many cities around India. During his years as faculty member in the physics department, he established the nuclear spectroscopy laboratory in the institute, which grew to becoming one of the best of its kind in India. He was also instrumental in establishing the radiation isotope laboratory in the institute. Dr. Sainath now works with the ICFAI Foundation for Higher Education, which has been ranked as one of the best universities in India for higher education. He is the Executive Director of the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Council and is the President of the Institute's Innovation Council. He lives in Hyderabad, India with his wife and his twin sons. Without further ado, let us put our hands together to welcome Brother Sainath Manikonda.
Om Shri Sairam. Sairam. With loving pranams at Bhagwan's Lotus Feet, dear sisters and brothers of the Sai family and my young friends. At the outset, I would like to apologize sincerely. This went beyond my control. There was some delay in getting back. I'm actually here on a holiday, but I just wouldn't want to get rid of this opportunity which was presented to participate in this satsang. And we tried our best to get back on time, but we just couldn't make it. So my sincere apologies for keeping you waiting. I'll try my best to make up for it with few of some of the best experiences that I have had with Bhagwan, so that we can all leave with some very good takeaways. I'd like to begin with narrating two instances which were a little contrary in their scope and also the outcomes. I'm hoping that these two instances would serve as a very good foundation for the talk which would follow. The first instance was, I was in a major city of India participating in a workshop, and then one of the alumnus, that's one of the good thing about our alumni network, wherever we go we find somebody there with whom we can catch up with. So this city also had a few alumni who came to know that I was there, and they came and they told me that we just caught up, and then they said, so there's one house in which profusely Vibhuti is coming out of Swami's photograph. We should go and see it. I said, definitely, let's go. So we went to this house, and there, yes, Vibhuti was profusely coming out of Swami's photograph. It was such a divine moment, such a divine experience, blissful moment for us. And then when I was leaving the room, I discovered to my shock that there was a chair next to Bhagwan's photograph in which the owner of the house sat down and gently lifted his trousers up, exposing his feet. he was expecting me to do the Par Namaskar to him. So I just looked at him like that and I walked out. I didn't. So this is one instance where a manifestation of the divinity himself had taken place, and the outcome was something totally unexpected. The way it was being received by the blessed soul was totally different. The other instance was when there was a person in a family who felt very seriously ill. He was rushed to the hospital, and there, despite the tests being done and all kind of diagnosis being done, the doctors were just not able to arrive at a proper line of treatment, while the patient was sinking all the time, and they were just not able to even arrive at what's wrong with him. And the family was profusely praying to Bhagwan. Said, Swami, no, you only have to do something. And so just as more tests were running as a routine checkup in the evening, a bedside X-ray was ordered, and the X-ray machine came, took the X-ray, and it left the room. When it left the room, somebody who was attending to the patient discovered that where the X-ray machine was, there was a big photograph of Swami there. They were so thrilled on seeing, this is a super specialty hospital, where all doctors are strictly professional. Not many people have really heard of Bhagwan. But when an X-ray machine comes and takes a bedside X-ray and leaves in the ICU, and you discover that the Swami's photo there where the X-ray machine was, there is something you just cannot call it as a coincidence. And the prayers went up immediately, and as luck would have it and Bhagwan's grace would have it, the very next day, some doctor who was going through the reports discovered what was wrong. Quickly they made a diagnosis, and they came up with a line of treatment, and the man soon got up from his hospital bed. He went back home and lived happily after. The reason I showed you these two contrary incidents, both were manifestations of the divine grace. There's no doubt about that. No one can doubt about this. But in one instance, the outcome was totally different, and the other instance, the outcome was something else altogether. On one side, there was an instance to use this particular expression of Bhagwan's miracle for self-aggrandizement. On the other side, there was a grateful acceptance that yes, Bhagwan is indeed watching us. Both were recipients of the same grace of Bhagwan. Both were recipients of the divine manifestation, yet it was interpreted and taken in two different ways. So this is the foundation which I would like to start with. Of late, we are hearing many instances all over the world wherein divine manifestations in some form or the other are taking place, which we fondly call as miracles. Sometimes they are indeed true, Bhagwan's grace. Sometimes, unfortunately, they are manufactured with very ulterior motives in mind. So we need to basically understand what is the role of these miracles in our spiritual journey, so that anytime these kind of things happen, we are in a correct frame of mind to understand how significant really it is for the person who is receiving it and for the person who are blessed enough to see it. So this is a very important thing, because several times when we had an opportunity to ask Bhagwan himself miracles, even though he would do it with great enthusiasm, many miracle manifestations in public he would do with great enthusiasm, the truth was he never ever attached any kind of significance to these miracles himself. And I'm actually, while going through the course of talk, and some of you might have already got it out, if that is so, why does he do it in the first place? So I will go through the course of talk because in the current context in the world, I felt that this is a very important topic about which we need to discuss and open up about. So let us go step by step and try to understand what is the significance of these miracles in our spiritual journey. Bhagwan often said, and we have seen it in several textbooks, that miracles are my visiting cards. I do them, I'm quoting Bhagwan, I do them so that you will be attracted to me and then want what I really want to give. So that's a very clear statement he's making. He is manifesting something, he is performing a miracle so that we will really come close to him, and when we do that, he will give us what he really has come down to give us. Bhagwan often tells a very interesting anecdote. He says when Mother Yashoda wanted to feed Krishna, or punish Krishna. Krishna was a very naughty boy as a child. We all know that. And Mother Yashoda wanted to catch him and punish him, but mothers rarely catch children because they are too fast. So Mother Yashoda had a wonderful way of catching Krishna. So she would hold the butter in one hand. Krishna couldn't resist butter, and she had the stick behind her. So when Krishna would see the butter, he would come running, and Mother Yashoda would grasp him, and whatever line of treatment was required, she would give him. So Bhagavan would often say this. He said, see, because if I come down and start talking to you about spiritual practices, sadhana and yoga and bhakti and all, not many of you will be interested in what I have to say. So I have to come down to your level, give you what will attract you, make you get your attention to me in the first place, and then when you yourself come to me, I will then start giving you what is the right thing to be given. So miracles first and foremost is, I think with this one statement we should really clarify most of the things. They are his visiting cards. A visiting card never does any job except to tell us the credentials of the person whom we are going to meet. So a miracle is basically cautioning us about the credentials of this avatar so that we will know, whoa, this person is so qualified. This person can do, he has great power in his hand. So it alerts us as to whose presence we are in. Nothing more than that. There is nothing more than that these miracles do. If we try to interpret it more than that and say this person is a very blessed soul, he should be treated as a pedestal because he's a recipient of holy grace, nothing happens to this person, he has spent so many years with Bhagavan, has received nothing from him, so he is not a good devotee, it's our foolishness, he has nothing to do with it. So that's the first and foremost thing we need to remember. At one point of time, in fact, those of us alumni, I can see a few of them around over here, we had something called as a wisdom wall in the hostel. Like the name itself suggests, the wisdom wall was not our wisdom, Bhagwan's wisdom and wise words would be displayed over there. Not ours. So, Bhagwan's photograph, sometimes we would have caption contest. We will have a beautiful photograph of Bhagwan and ask our students to come up with lovely captions for it. Sathya Sai was a very famous one, wherein, we started it when we were in the hostel. We thought, Bhagwan would spend hours together speaking to the students when he would come out in the portico. But not people at the back, they were not fortunate enough to be able to listen to what Bhagwan is saying. So we said, see, anyhow he's speaking to the students. We think all the students should have that good fortune of listening to what Bhagwan is saying. So those of us who are at front and a few select places, we had a team of boys who would start taking notes whenever Swami would start speaking. Sometimes he would speak here, sometimes he would speak there. So we had boys stationed at all the places. And then when we come back to the hostel, we would take notes. Somebody would faithfully, there was no computer and printouts in those days, we would faithfully write it with hand using sketch pens and nice decoration around to the best extent possible, and we would write in a text format what Bhagwan spoke, and that would come up on that. That proved to be the turning point because it interested so many students. Sometimes Swami would spend 1 hour to 1.5 hours on the portico, and we had to run series. Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D, so that people could understand, and so many people got so many messages and so many answers to their problems through this. So this is called a wisdom wall for this very purpose. There were everything about Swami and Swami's teachings and all we would put up there, and people would derive lots of joy of contributing to it and also listening from it. So there was one particular instance wherein a photograph was displayed that Swami had materialized a huge ring in Kodaikanal, and the caption for that given was that Bhagwan had materialized it in Kodaikanal to a batch of students, saying that it was Kamsa's ring. This happened in our batch only. He materialized that ring in our batch when we were in Kodaikanal, and he said, this is the ring which was worn by Kamsa. Look at its size. Kamsa was a giant of a man, so his fingers were so thick. So you look at the ring which is so big. But the batch which went after us, they got the same apparently ring materialized by Bhagwan in Kodaikanal, but this time they were told this ring belongs to Ravana. So there was a confusion. Now who is right? Same ring was materialized by Bhagwan in one instance saying it is Kamsa's ring, the other batch was told it is Ravana's ring, so we started clashing with each other. No, Swami must be mistaken, it has to be Kamsa. They said, how can it be? He was telling Ramayana story when he materialized this, so it must be Ravana. Kamsa can't land up in Ramayana. neither can Ravana land up in Mahabharata. So obviously Swami never made a mistake. So I used to be in Bhojan Auditorium serving Bhagwan in those days. But for lunch I used to come to the hostel because we had very little time. So I had lunch and I saw this confusion. And I also heard the discussion which was happening between these two sets of boys, so I couldn't resist it. So one day when I had an opportunity, I placed this confusion before Bhagwan himself. I said, Swami, this is the confusion. What do you think is the answer? So he looked very cryptically at me and said, why are you so concerned about it? Is the ring yours? So I didn't have the courage to go forward anymore, so I just kept quiet. But Chiranjeev Garu was sitting there at that time. So he couldn't resist, because he said, but Swami, this is the type of questions people ask us. So you have to tell us what to tell them. What Sainath asks now and what the discussion is going on in the hostel, devotees also ask us because these photographs go out. Swami, you only have to guide us on this kind of materialization and explanations which you give. So Swami thought for some time and then I had to quote this because I didn't want to miss it. I had written it down in my diary at that time. I said, Bhagwan then just mentioned this to us. He said, I quote, materializations are just a means to attract your attention. Of course, the same thing what he said. He stated it in a different way because this is the more private gathering. Materializations are just means to attract your attention. There is a far greater miracle that I want to perform on each of you. But sadly, everyone gets stuck with the materializations and do not want to know what I really want to give them, moksha itself. Liberation from all of these worldly things. This is what he wanted to give us. Then, of course, I kept quiet because I definitely didn't have the courage to take the discussion any further. But Chiranjeev Garu maintains a different relation with Bhagwan. So he continued. So he asked, so he said, Swami, when if that is the case, why do you create these rings, watches and bracelets for people in the first place? That's what is creating the whole issue over here. And then Swami said, when I give this, all Swami statements are quoted, okay? So when I give a person these rings, watches, etc., it is for a specific purpose. Once the purpose is served, they have no meaning thereafter. So there is a purpose, there is a time gap like a medicine for it, it has an expiry date. After that, whether the materialization is there or not there, it makes no purpose. That means it's a short purpose vehicle. In business language we call SPVs, special purpose vehicles. Okay, they have a specific purpose in mind, they finish that and that is, after that the materialization makes no further sense. And then Swami, well, I was still wondering what is his meaning and what is his purpose about. Swami continued even further. He said, now this is very important. For those who see Swami in this physical plane, I have to bring them to me with these materialistic things. Is very clear. He said these are materialistic things. You and I both know what is the importance or significance Bhagwan attaches to materialistic things. Zero. He attaches zero significance to them. He has himself said all these physical materializations are because these are materialistic things he uses to bring us close to him. So, for those who see Swami in this physical plane, I have to bring them closer to me with these materialistic things. But there are many of them who keep a spiritual relation with Swami. They do not need any of these. For them, Swami is always in their thought, mind and deed and their heart. I close. Then Chiranjeev Garu further continued, he says, Swami, then would people get tempted when you start materializing these things and show this special attention of people? Won't people get tempted to want more of these? It's such a fantastic experience after all to have these from you. And then Swami's response really told me why he is called the embodiment of love. He said, there is no harm in wanting to relate to Swami at the physical level. Why do you think the avatar takes a physical form at all? The journey begins at that level. Everyone has some spiritual disease which prevents them to proceed further on the spiritual plane. I have to patiently cure them through my darshan, sparsha and sampashan. Someday they will get cured and travel to the spiritual plane. Until then, these medicines have to be given. So he calls them materialistic things. Like I told you, medicine has a time gap, an expiry date. His miracles also are just like that. He calls them as medicines which he has to give to cure the disease which we suffer in the spiritual plane. So it's a very, very clear thing, and that is when actually I understood whatever Swami materializes this for or performs the so-called signs of his miracle, expressions of his miracles, they have a single purpose. However ironic it may sound, these materialistic manifestations are designed to take us away from this materialistic world itself. So, because if it's like going to a child and start talking about nuclear physics and if I start talking, the child will just stare at me like that, they won't understand. So he needs to come down to our level, talk and behave in a language and a way in which we can understand and relate to easily. Then take us up with him by holding our hands to the higher plane. So it's a very important thing about why miracles have really, they have a purpose. That's the main thing which we need to understand. Secondly, these miracles, if we really begin to notice, they have a very tailored purpose. That means they're tailored for individuals because each person has a different disease on the spiritual journey. So therefore the medicine also is tailored accordingly. So the miracle also is according to that only. I still remember one instance, in those of us who reached the Sri Sathya Sai, we see in that where there is a devotee of Sri Sai Baba who lands up with a severe diarrhea, and Bhagwan calls him to the masjid and says, "Why are you suffering so much? Here, eat these peanuts." A doctor will be aghast, who gives peanuts for diarrhea? That doesn't get worse. But this is Bhagwan himself who is telling, so that person ate the peanuts and yes, he got cured the very next day. So one more person came down with the diarrhea and he said, oh, that person had peanuts given by Bhagwan, so he got cured, so it must work for me, and he took it and he landed in the hospital. And when he went and confronted Sri Sai Baba, he said, what is this you have done? Why peanuts didn't work for me? He said, who said the peanut worked? It is the hand that gave the peanut that did the job, not the peanut. So that is the important thing that we are forgetting. So tailoring of the miracle is very important, and that only a guru can do. You and I can't do it, we are incapable of that. That's why he is called a Jagat Guru. So I remember when we were very, very early into Bhagwan's fold, there was an instance narrated by one gentleman about when Bhagwan went to the famous singer P. Sushila. I don't know how many of you are really aware of her. She's a very great singer and a very great devotee of Bhagwan. And many people in the film field were invited to the lady's house, devotee's house, and Swami was, after the discourse was over, interaction was over, he was taking vibhuti packets and he was giving to the devotees one by one. There was one young gentleman who was there with P. Sushila's husband, and Swami went up to him and he also gave him vibhuti, but that man hesitated. Immediately Swami looked at him and said, oh, you are expecting Tiruchurnam from me, isn't it? He said. He was a Vaishnavite. Vaishnavites don't use vibhuti. So, but there was no indication on his face to show, that he is a Sri Vaishnavite. But Swami, even before he could give the packet to him, he said, oh, I think you want Tiruchurnam from me, isn't it? He said, and he just switched his hand and gave him a Tiruchurnam packet, and he went along. Now, see, that is called the perfect tailoring, and this is how Bhagwan identifies what the disease is, even before we can tell him, and then gives the medicine which is apt to that. So that is perhaps one of the reasons why we see that the very starting instance what I narrated about, manifestations of Bhagwan's miracles in two instances, how they were interpreted, how they were taken. Both were manifestations, but one took it for one purpose, the other person took it for another purpose. I would like to narrate one hilarious incident that happened with Bhagwan. It's possible that some of you might have heard it in my YouTube talk, but I'm very fond of this, so I would like to share with you once again. Now, when we were there in Puttaparthi, there was, many of the political leaders and all would come to have Bhagwan's darshan. And there was a guest house in which Bhagwan would send two of us students to look after the needs of this guest. So it so happened that the Chief Minister of the state of Andhra Pradesh came to see Bhagwan's darshan. He had Bhagwan's darshan, and Bhagwan put him up at the guest house, and two of us were looking after this gentleman. And this person was a very powerful politician. And when you have a very powerful politician, you have lots of people, sycophants, who try to go after him and seek this benefit and that benefit and all that. So we used to see an influx of many such people who would never come to Puttaparthi otherwise to have Bhagwan's darshan, but when such people land up, you see a huge influx of such people. So Bhagwan's darshan was over, this person had a lovely darshan and he retired to his inner quarters, and we were just cleaning up the Poonchhandra auditorium. Suddenly there was a massive banging sound on the main door, almost like no hinges were it is going to come out of its hinges. Then we got a little alarm, who is banging the door so loudly, in the Poonchhandra auditorium in the guest house. So we just went and I opened the door and I saw some political figure. He was standing there hectically and the Sevadal was pleading with him not to bang the door like that. And then I also saw to my horror that the person had his footwear on. And he was standing and walking in a place where Bhagwan himself walks. So I just told him, sir, what do you need? How can I help you? He said, you move aside, I have to talk to the Chief Minister. So I said, sir, Chief Minister has retired, but you can sit in the lobby over here. I'll go and tell him that you have come. But before that, please respect our sentiment. This is a holy place where our Bhagwan walks and we look after it with great respect and cleanliness. So please remove your slippers there and you come in. So he just pushed me and he said, I'm telling you to move out of my way. Aren't you able to listen to me? I said, yes sir, please, but remove your footwear. If you are finding it difficult, you please give me your footwear. I will put it there. After that you can go inside. So he just wouldn't listen. He walked into Poonchhandra auditorium with the slippers. So that was something very, very, sad for us, because when Bhagwan walks in that place, none of us come with a footwear there. I couldn't do anything. But the other brother of mine who was looking after this VIP guest, he was a stout, hefty person. He was standing near the inner door like this. He came and he pushed him. This man wouldn't budge because he is very stout. And he saw how I was being treated and he told his politician, sir, will you remove your footwear there and come, or shall I complain to the Chief Minister about your insolence? That shook him, because that Chief Minister was a very big devotee of Bhagwan. If complaint goes to him that so and so was not following the discipline of this place, this fellow's political career is gone. So he ran, removed his footwear and came running back again. So everything was over and the Chief Minister left and bhajans were going on. I was sitting outside the bhajan hall and this brother was a singer, so he was sitting inside the bhajan hall. So Swami came out about 10 minutes before the bhajans began, and then a few people were seated on the upper portico and he said, the Chief Minister had come the other day. They said, yes Swami, we saw him. Everybody said, something very strange happened inside the Poonchhandra auditorium. They said, no Swami, we didn't know. Everybody said. Then he looked at me and said, tell them. I was catching what strange thing happened, even I'm not sure. So I said, Swami, which one? He said, slippers. I said, slippers became strange. Then I said, anyway, to Swami's order. So I said, this is what happened. He said, what did you tell him? I said, Swami, he was not listening to me. So finally I told, you give me your slippers, I will carry it and I will put it outside. And Swami said, look, this is why I like my boys so much. They are so humble, they are so simple, they don't even mind carrying chappals like this. And I started floating. Immediately, wow, getting praised. And then he brought me crashing down. And he said, but Bangaru, I'll give you one very important lesson. With everybody, if you are so silent, soft and like this, people will swallow you like a puppet. Once in a while, you must be, you must use Raudram, you must show your anger and you must be strict and strong. I said, yes, Swami. Then Swami went inside the bhajan hall. Now those poor souls had no idea what happened outside. So he repeated the same thing to some of the elders there and he said something strange happened. Everybody said, what strange? And he told the other boy, you tell. So he also had the same dilemma, what strange thing, and Swami told him, chappals. So he narrated the whole thing. That's very nice. What did you tell them? I told Swami, I saw how he was treating Sainath, so I told him, will you remove your chappals or should I complain to the Chief Minister? And that person ran and removed his chappal. You see, this is why I like my boys. They can be very strict when they want to be. They can be very tough when they want to be. But Bangaru, there is a small lesson I have to tell you. Everybody, if you talk like that, people will stop talking to you. You must be very soft and you must be polite once in a while. He said, yes, Swami. After the bhajan is over, we compared notes. We discovered that in 10 minutes, the same instance, 2 people got 2 different lessons. And I'm sure that if another 10 were there, they would have got 10 different lessons. That is the wonderful way in which he teaches. That's why I said, manifestations from Bhagwan have a specific purpose. Each person must have their own problems and their own issues in their spiritual journey. There is nothing wrong in them interpreting it in their way. There is no iron cast explanation. This miracle has happened because this is it. No. It means different for different purpose. We need to identify the inner thing because it is a visiting card he is giving us. So it is a very important thing that, so basically they are like guidelines or milestones in our journey, in our spiritual journey. Once in a while they keep popping up to tell you are in the right track, or if we are seeing the wrong signpost, we'll say, oh, we are on the wrong route, we'll correct our direction. So the miracles are exactly meant for this purpose, nothing more than that. They will neither take us to our destination nor will they become our destination. We have to go that journey ourselves. So it's a very important thing. So therefore, continuing further, there's every chance that when these kind of manifestations and miracles take place, we think that this is all divinity about. These manifestations and these miracles, these are all the divinity, this is all divinity is all about. Now that's one of the greatest pitfalls in a spiritual journey, to think that they are the manifestations. So miracles are not the mark of divinity. They are not the mark of divinity, and Bhagavan himself has said that actually he can train each one of us to do exactly the same things by ourselves. He said that's not divinity at all. If you are thinking it is divinity, it's your foolishness, but I have nothing to do with them. In fact, one very fantastic, he uses the word Ashtasiddhis. Anima, Garima, Mahima, becoming as big as the largest universe, becoming as small as the smallest of atoms, being able to enter into somebody else's body in the astral plane, these are all basically in the Indian scriptures, they're called as Ashtasiddhis. And Swami used to often tell us that anybody who is on the path of spirituality can easily pick up these Ashtasiddhis. It's not at all difficult. But having sensed this strange power in our hands, if we think that this is all divinity is about, these are the people who get stuck in the plane. Trisankuswargam we call in Hindu scriptures once again. They're neither there nor they're here. They're stuck somewhere in between. And that's the worst stage to be in. Neither can you go back to being a seeker, nor can you become one with the divinity. At some times, because you're confused state, you're neither here nor there. So I remember once there was an instance, where the first batch of MBA students had just started, and Bhagavan used to spend a lot of time with them. And we were there in the audiovisual room where Bhagavan was speaking, and he told, see, you're all educated boys, so I'm going to do an experiment which you will understand. So and he made his hand, and this size pendant popped out of his hand. There are photographs of this, by the way. This entire incident was videographed and photographed, so it is verifiable. Possibly you will see it in the global Radio Sai archives, possibly. But they are there. In fact, we have copies of it. Many of us alumni have copies of these photographs. And materialized this size pendant, and he said, all of you take this very, very serious look at this. Very closely, please look at it. And one of the faculty members took that medallion, and he went around the audience and he showed everyone. And then Swami caught it in his finger like this in front of us, and he said, so all of you have seen it? We said, yes, Swami, all of us have seen it. Now watch, he said, and he blew on it in front of our eyes, and that thing entirely changed its shape and structure. Everything became different. And then he said, now look at this. And this happened right in front of our eyes. So we said, my God, we are so blessed. We saw a manifestation of divinity itself today. Divinity is so powerful. We started thinking, Swami said, this has nothing to do with the divinity. He made this statement. He said, this what you are calling is the sign of divinity has nothing to do with divinity. He says, divinity is far, far, far beyond this. I can train each one of you to do exactly the same thing. All I need from you is pure brahmacharya. That's all. He said, Indriya Nigrahana is the word he used. Indriya Nigrahana means control of the senses. Since you control your senses and I will teach you to do exactly the same things. But Indriya Nigrahana is like a doorstep of the Lord's house. There is still a huge mansion that is waiting behind this doorstep. So that means this is an insignificant entrance part only. There is much more magnificence, which is there behind, which we need to discover. But we get stuck at the doorstep itself. So it's a very important thing to understand that divine manifestations are only a visiting card, and they should not be looked upon as divinity itself. In fact, this is also the reason why many times we get so caught up in these manifestations and creations of Bhagwan that we forget to have an eye on the creator. Instead we see the creation. There was one more instance narrated by a very senior devotee. I remember the Patti Padayatra is conducted very frequently by devotees from different parts of the country and even abroad many times. In fact, if I remember, the UK devotees are coming in the month of June or July. They are coming on the yatra, Patti Yatra, about 300 plus of them are coming. So these Patti Yatras are pilgrimages which devotees conduct on a regular basis. So these people were coming and they had a fantastic darshan, and Bhagwan had showered so much of mercy and grace on them that when they were going back in the train, they were thrilled. They were recounting their experiences of what a lovely time they have had at Patti. And many of this group were actually given lots of materializations, rings, some got vibhuti and some got chain, and they began comparing immediately. They said, this ring, wow, Swami gave me a chain, look at this, Swami gave me vibhuti, this. They started complaining. There was one small child sitting near the window in total bliss, watching the sight out of the train. So just, to poke, sometimes, we just like to poke fun with the little children. So he said, why are you sitting so silent? The child just shook the head. There's so many of us are talking here, Swami gave us so many things. What did Swami give you? And she said with eyes lit up with all joy in the world, Swami gave me darshan. She got the point. She got the point of the darshan, sparshan, sambharshan, the significance of that compared to the stringlets which are thrown along our way. That silenced the elder. So we miss the creator many times because our eyes are so mesmerized by the creation that he makes. In fact, there's one hilarious instance which happened, I remember. One morning, some school children had come. So, the school children, Swami would tell me, in those days I was just waiting for 1 year, not yet joined PhD, but I finished my PG. So Swami used to tell, whenever the small children come, Swami's eyes lit up, every time it lights up and he says, give them chocolates, give them books, give them pens, and then he would go in between them and get them. There's lots of times the school children would come in buses, get Bhagwan's blessing, and they would go back. Swami would shower always some signs of his love, he would give them like that. So one day when that was over, Swami had taken a group of foreigners into the interview room and he said, you come in, translate for them. I'll speak in Telugu, you translate in English for them. Now that is a big, I have seen him go in with Ukrainian, Bahrainians and so many countries, some nomadic Africans also, and they come out with bright faces. He needs no translator. But that sometimes he needs to bless you with some signs, so he gives you that, just come in and translate. I said, okay, I went in hopping. And then, there was one foreigner who was watching Swami very curiously and very keenly. For every time he would make a materialization, his eyes would light up and he would, and I was having my eye on him. Because such kind of people are capable of creating mischief. In fact, there was one foreigner who jumped up and said, Swami, I want to sit on your chair, because he was thinking that something is there on that. And then Swami told, I know why you want to sit, there's nothing here, you can feel it. So then he looked at Swami and he said, Swami, why do you always materialize with your right hand? Can you do with your left hand? Swami gave a pitying look, rolled up his sleeve just to make sure. He didn't ask him to roll up his sleeve, but Swami still did it. The last traces of any doubts had to be removed. Pitying look he gave him, rolled up his sleeve and he said, for this hand that created the entire creation, what does it matter which hand I am using? He said, and he materialized a huge chain with his left hand and put it on somebody else's neck, not on him. So what we are saying is that means we are so, many times, we have discussions in the group going on, oh, why did Swami like this Kamsa and Ravana's ring, for example. Okay, so that happens like that, and this is where these are classic symptoms of what is happening when we are losing track of why those things are happening in the first place and who is the one responsible for them. That is a more important question. About that we don't discuss, but we discuss a lot about what the materialization and miracle that is happening. Do we have a right to talk about this when we don't even want to focus on who is responsible for this? It's like something like this, that when the doctor saves our life, they go bouncing out telling that it's a hospital that has saved us. What about the doctor? So we are forgetting the source, instead we are seeking the other thing. So one more important materialization like this happened in Kodaikanal. Now this was really funny. The students are no different. We also get caught in this web of Maya many times and we make blunders. And one of the faculty members had one ring with him, in this kind of ring, exactly to be the same. So, and Swami was just sitting there with all the students and those blessed faculty members who had come. And Swami saw that ring and it was shining very well. He said, the ring is shining very nicely. Where did you get this? He said, Swami, you only gave this to me. And Swami said, is it? Give it. So this ring went into Swami's hand and Swami held it like this and said, very nice, it is shining brightly. Boys, what stone is this? He looked at us and he asked. Now, see, these are classic symptoms of, him laying a trap. But the beauty of the whole thing is, the Maya is strongest around him. Immediate vicinity of him, the Maya is the strongest. And he fell for it flat. And he said, Swami, that is a green colored stone. This ring never left our eyesight, by the way. And he just stood there and said, what green color? It doesn't look green to me. And he showed, yeah, it had turned white. Then he said, it was green just a few minutes ago. Well, Swami, yeah, it is not green. This looks like a white colored stone. Swami said, what is wrong with your eyes? Who said it is white? It is green only. And we told you, again it is back to green. Then said, okay, one final time. What color is this? He said, Swami, whatever color you want, it is that color. We had enough by that time. See, what are you going to sit and argue with somebody, who is changing things, even before you can comprehend what is happening? He said, Swami, whatever color you want, it is that color. And then Swami said, now you learned your lesson. Your focus all the time was on the ring. You never saw the hand that is holding the ring. The hand has the power to do anything with what it has created. So as long as you have your eyes on this creation, creation is always changing. That is the nature of creation. Today, for example, especially in a country like India, there is a hamlet there, tomorrow it is gone, some gigantic building has come up there. Today we have a house painted white, tomorrow we will paint it pink. Right? When we were youngsters, we all had a thick mop of black hair and all that. By the time we grow old, there's no hair left on the head. So everything changes. Once you create things, yes, things will change. Creation's nature is to change. Materializations also are like that. They are also a form of creation. So they will change, they will be interpreted, they will be used differently. But as long as we can focus on who made that creation, the creator himself, there is no question, because the creator never changes. One classic example Bhagavan used to give devotees when in the language they would understand was, you go to a movie theater, the screen is always there, it doesn't move. But there are so many scenes, there's a crying scene, there's a laughing scene, there's a murder scene, so many things keep happening on the screen. They keep moving, actors keep coming, actors keep going, scenes keep coming, scenes keep going. Cars keep moving, everything is moving, but the screen is the only one that never changes. It stays exactly where it is. So that Bhagavan said is like the creator. So as long as we do not have this important lesson drilled into us, that we focus on the creation and we focus on the materializations and miracles, we will keep falling in the same trap again and again. We'll keep discussing inconsequential data and inconsequential facts, while all the time forgetting what's the mystery and the lesson which was to be learned by us as a consequence of that in the first place, which is more important. So until we do that, we are like what Bhagavan said in the Trishanku Swartam. Neither are we seekers, nor are we eligible to merge with the divinity. So we are floundering in a world that is filled with doubt and all kind of negativity. So that is what happens everywhere. So this is exactly to get out of this. That is what sadhana is all about in Bhagavan's hand. So which means, like we are very clear, there is no prescribed formula for sadhana. Nobody can tell, okay, you must get up at 5 o'clock, you must do Suprabhatam and Omkaram, you must go for Nagar Sankirtan, you must after that do Yogasana, after that you must do this, you must do that, you must do that. There is no timetable. Why? Sadhana is a means for us to see the creator behind the creation. So this means miracles are the starting point for it. Miracles are given to different people to be interpreted in different way because we have different spiritual diseases with us. So which means sadhana also there is no prescribed format. In fact, I remember once one elderly devotee asked Bhagavan, why is it, Swami, that if sadhana has no prescribed formula, in our organization you have a very strict formula of what are the activities to be done, where they have to be done, how they have to be done. Swami said that is only a source of discipline in you. Because without taking the first step of discipline, there is sadhana which is impossible for you to do. So first we have to come into a framework of discipline. After that we can take up our own individual sadhana to do what we can possibly go about doing. So, yeah. So then, therefore, this is sadhana all about. So one thing we have to remember here is, if sadhana is to be done by our own effort, then what is God's role in this? You only created the Maya, you only created the materializations and performed the miracles, you only made us fall for the trap, and now you are only telling, I will do the thing, you do your sadhana. So what is God's role in this? Of course, we can always go to the karma theory and start talking about the karma theory, but it only confuses even further and confounds the problem even more worse. So let's not go down that line at all. But there's a very important and a wonderful instance which I will tell you about. Krishna and Arjuna's Matsya Bheda Yantra was there. Draupadi Swayamvara was supposed to be done. And you know, this Matsya Bheda Yantra was there. Matsya Bheda Yantra means it is a machine that is created wherein a fish keeps moving, rotating round and round and round. And the test to win Draupadi's hand is, the archer should first pick up the bow, string the bow, use the arrow and pierce the left eye of the fish, which is rotating at top speed. So, of course, it was designed specifically to ensure that the world's greatest archer alone can win Draupadi's hand, because you require supreme qualities to hit that bow, and there were only two archers in the world who could do that. One was Arjuna, the other one was Karna. The Karna, of course, he was not allowed to participate because he is not a Kshatriya or a Brahmin, the so-called forward caste. So, and Arjuna was not around. He was in disguise as a Vanavasa. He was in this Aranyavasa at that time. That means he was in a forest. They had to hide their identity and come. So it so happened that Arjuna was planning to attempt that. And then that day, one day before, Krishna comes to meet Arjuna in his maternal aunt's house, Kunti. And there he tells, Krishna, I heard that tomorrow you are going to hit that yantra. You must be very careful. The bow is a very strong, it's a very unyielding bow. So you must bend it with your leg on the bottom, pull it down, make sure you put the string properly. Don't pull the string right up till here. And Arjuna was hearing all that, the greatest archer in this world. And Krishna is taking classes and lessons to him on how to wield a bow. So he heard, and finally he said, Krishna, 1 minute. Now you are telling me do this, do that, everything I have to do. So what are you going to do then? And Krishna said, I will do something which you can never do. And Arjuna said, and what is that? He said, I will make sure that the environment is comfortable. I will make sure there is no breeze. I will make sure that nobody is distracting you. Now, these are not in our control. You can't control the weather. You can't control the environment. That only God can control. So that if we start, this is called Purusha Prayatnam plus God's grace. So when we are serious about our sadhana, that Swami, we want to reach you, he will make sure that the environment is correct so that we reach him. Now here, of course, the question of what is this environment is very important for us. Environment, we cannot define it. He knows what is our disease, so he will create the right environment for us. We cannot tell, because you have not done what I wanted, this is not the right environment, I'm sorry, I can't believe in you. We do not know what is our own future and we don't even remember our past. How are we going to decide what is the right environment for me? Well, he knows all the three. He reads us like a book. He knows what is on our fate. He knows what is the right environment for us. So we should not be questioning him on that particular aspect. So one very important instance Bhagavan used to tell us is, how do you therefore approach God? So when he said, he gives a very good example. He said, see, you go to a house, you want to meet the master of the house. The problem is the master of the house has a gigantic Alsatian dog with him. That's not allowing you to come to the master. Every time you come near the gate, that thing is ready to snap at you. So what do? There are only two things you can do. First thing is, you befriend the dog. How? Give it some biscuits. But unfortunately for you, this dog is a very loyal dog. It won't touch the food given by strangers. So it won't touch the biscuit which you are giving. So what is the next option? Go to the second step. Call out to the master and say, oh so and so, please come down. Your dog is not letting me come near you. Please come and hold the dog so that I can come in and meet you. That's the only other way for you. And Swami said, here the master of the house is God. And the Alsatian dog is Maya. So we can never befriend Maya. Because Maya is very, very loyal to the master. So the only way we can do it is sing out for the God, call out for God, and He will come down and He will control Maya so that we can continue with our sadhana. That is why I said Purusha Pratna. We are ready to do our sadhana, but somebody has to control Maya for us because we cannot do it. So when we start calling out to God in sincerity, He will come and control Maya for us so that we can continue with our sadhana. So this is a very good analogy which Bhagavan have given us many times, and which we always used to remember. One very important thing about sadhana which Bhagavan used to tell us is, they are not designed for, just like these materializations and miracles are, Bhagavan said, related to the physical world, sadhana also cannot be done by depending upon our means of the physical world. There's one very wonderful experience I can share with you here. It often used to happen that Bhagavan used to stop talking to the students altogether. It used to be very torturous moments for us. We used to miss those lovely moments where He would come and be with us, where He would move amongst us, talk with us, joke with us, and all those things. Unexpectedly, He would walk into the hostels, He would catch us, sleeping, bunking classes, He would catch us in our rooms. And all kind of things used to happen. Everything went for a toss because He is not talking to us anymore. So at that time, lots of this churning used to happen in the hostel. Why is Swami not talking? We should catch him, we should do this, we should do that, and all that. So, we started doing all that, and Swami was very upset. He said, tell the boys exams are going on, they don't need to come for darshan. So that was very bad. Now we can't even go to darshan. One of the famous things which students used to do is catch Swami physically. Of course, he would allow it. That's why we would catch him. So we would catch him and would plead with him, and discussions would go on, and some agreements would finally be arrived at. But the net result was Bhagavan would always melt. He would always melt, and that is His love. He would always melt and He would say, okay, no problem, forget it, past is past, be good boys now. Things would come back to normalcy once again. So, but now no darshan, suddenly information comes, that we are not even allowed to go for darshans. Now how to catch him now if we don't go for darshans? So then we started putting on a thinking caps what to do. We said, okay, then the warden and the teachers in the hostel, they said, see, Swami said you are having exams, you can't come, we can go. So we will plead on your behalf. So they went for darshan, and Swami saw that and said, the students are having exam, what are you people doing here? You also stay in the hostel, there is no darshan for you also. Cut. Then we said, okay, what to do now? Not working. So we said, okay, let's write letters. We will give it to the registrar or the vice chancellor or the controller of examinations to place these letters in front of Swami. So they proudly took the letters. Swami said, if you get their letters, I'm going to stop darshan for you also. That is also gone. So letters gone. So then we said, okay, the next alternative, postman. So in Patti, we used to write letters, registered letters to Bhagavan, and Swami would receive the register post. Okay, postman is still there. So we wrote big letters, put it in nice margin, parceled it and gave it to the registered post office, and they sent it. In 2 days back, it came back. The recipient is refusing to accept the letters. So what to do now? We are really stuck in a royal puddle. So we thought, they said, oh, come on, this is not going to work out, let us do bhajans. At least if we can't go there and do bhajans, let us do bhajans in the hostel. So we started bhajans. Next day word comes, exams are going on, let them not waste time in bhajans. Stop bhajans. So what to do? Okay, Aarati at least. So we gave, okay, 6:30 everybody, bell rings, come down and please let's give Aarati. So we said, no need of Aarati, when bhajans are not there, why are you giving Aarati? Everything got cut. We just didn't know what to do. When one of the PhD scholars was there, saying there's nothing left, letters are not going, nobody can carry our prayers for us, I think each one of us has to pray on our own. Let us all look within ourselves. Let us, that night it was a very, very, very emotional talk that was given by that PhD scholar of ours. He says, let us look within ourselves, each one. Let us find out what we can do to win Swami. If each one of us gives that, Swami, this is my fault, I am going to correct myself, collectively Swami will definitely respond. It worked. The next day Swami said, call them for darshan. Exams are still going on. No, but the test is over. The real test is over. He caught us, and we all caught him. It was a very emotional moment. Many of us were crying. And then Swami, then we told Swami how to reach you. Then Swami said, who said you can't reach me? Then we told him, see, you're not letting us do bhajans, you're not letting us give aarti, you're not letting us give letters, you're not letting people carry our messages. How do we reach you, Swami, if you do like this? Swami said, who said you can't reach me? I'm always here, and it touched her heart. That is why the moment each one of you did your individually looked within, I responded immediately. That is where Bhagwan always is. So here comes a question then, shall we all get up and abandon this organization because it's all about individual sadhana, why bother about the organization? No. In fact, I still remember, Dr. Fanipanda once asked Bhagwan, Swami, what is the role of the Sathya Sai organization in the journey of a devotee? And Swami said, nothing. Then he said, Swami, nothing? Swami said, yeah, nothing. Then Swami, what is this rules, regulations, conditions, a charter and all these things you have made? And Swami said, an organization is a collection of individuals who believe in a common vision. There is a framework in place because discipline is very important. Organization gives you that discipline, it shows you the path, but you only have to travel the path. The organization will not travel it for you. That is why when you ask me what is the role of the organization in the spiritual journey of a devotee, I said nothing. That journey is the individual devotees only. The organization will only give you the framework, show you the road, and you have to travel thereafter on your own. The organization role ends there. So it is a very important thing which Bhagwan always says. So now we come to the last section possibly. What do you think is the sadhana which we can do in this current world? One very important, even their experience is what I narrated, wherein people see a ring in one hand and a chain in the other hand, they start comparing about that, and then they forget about the actual purpose of this. So comparison is one of the biggest stumbling blocks in the journey of our devotees. Many times, all of us are guilty of it. Let us not really beat around the bush over here. We say, sometimes, the worst rascal whom we see around, the fellow is having all the riches, he's enjoying himself. I'm doing sadhana regularly, and I'm suffering in my life. So these kind of thoughts definitely come with us. Why that person doesn't come for Suprabhatam, Omkaram, nothing but Swami gives him interviews every time. This was a very common comparison point in those days when Bhagwan was there. I'm going to Bhajan Darshans every day. I'm doing, Swami is not even looking at me. He's not even taking my letters. Comparison is one of the biggest sins to commit. And Swami himself says never to do this comparison. In fact, a life-changing experience of mine, this of course I don't mind repeating in every nook and corner 100 times even if you have listened, because this changed my life. This changed my life. So of course I gave it the name, Swami didn't give this a name, I call it the account book theory. Account book theory. So it so happened that one day, Swami asked me to convey a message to the then secretary of the ashram, Mr. Narayan. And the consequence of that was when elderly devotees, who we used to all look up to and admire, they were asked to leave the ashram. So these devotees, they were such sincere, loving people. You would never hear them talk ill about anybody. They were all the time, immersed in their own sadhana and their own work and all that. And I was very, very upset. I thought, see, because I carried this message that these people were asked to leave, and I felt very sad. So I was standing there one day, and Swami is a master at reading our expressions, by the way. So when he looked at my face and he said, why are you standing like that? I said, Swami, nothing. And he said, don't hide things from your guru and your parents. Come here and tell me what happened. So I told Swami, this is what happened. And I'm feeling a little sad that I had to carry that message that led to them being removed from the ashram. And Swami said, what makes you think that they are feeling bad because they left the ashram? Now that's a question I never asked. I was analyzing it from my point of view, but who knows why they had to go and for what purpose they had to go. So I just kept quiet. Then I asked Swami, but there's one more doubt I always have. And that is, why is it that, some people are so blessed to receive your proximity, enjoy so many lovely moments with you, and but others who do so much of sadhana, but they just don't seem to come anywhere near you. You just don't let them come anywhere near you. And Swami gave me such a wonderful lesson on that day. Something, that changed my perspective totally. I sincerely hope it changes the perspective of some of you also. It's because a very powerful teaching on that day. And Swami said, let me explain it in a language which you will understand. Swami said, you want a loan. You go to the bank. You make an application. You tell, I want so and so amount. Will the bank immediately give you the amount? I said, no, Swami. And he said, what happens? I said, Swami, the bank will first see. It will first see what is my earning capacity. Whether I am qualified to even ask the amount, because I am only earning this much. But I'm asking so much. So the bank knows that I cannot repay the loan. So the bank will therefore first and foremost see what is my earning capacity. So that's the first thing. So accordingly they will give the loan, they will decide whether I'm qualified to receive this loan or not. So I said, good. So this is basically your earning, fine. In any other way in which the bank can give you a loan? I said, I was not very sure. I said, no, Swami. Swami said, collateral. Suppose if your ancestors in your family and your parents have earned property, landed estates, for example, or some houses, whatever it is, gold, whatever it is, and it is coming down the generations. And this can be taken as collateral. And God and the bank will still give you the loan. If you have sufficient collateral, even though you are not earning enough, bank will see the collateral and still give you the loan. I said, yes, Swami. When Swami said, any other reason? I said, not I'm aware of, Swami. And Swami said, there's a third one. If somebody stands as a guarantor for you, if an X person comes and says, even if this person is unable to repay the loan, I stand as a guarantor. I will repay the loan on his behalf. Bank will still give you the loan. I said, yes, Swami. Then he said, is there any other way? I said, no, Swami. Only these three as far as I know. Then Swami said, spirituality is exactly like this. Now watch the master class. First, he said, you go and put an application to God saying, I want your grace, I'm having these problems, I need your help to overcome this obstacle. Swami, please help me. So first Swami will see the first column. That is our hard-earned karma. Swayam Krushi. Our earning capacity. What have we earned by way of positive karma? So if what we are asking is no match whatsoever, we have done nothing but nonsense in our life, there is no positive karma, everything is negative, then God cannot give this because we are just not qualified to receive that grace. But that's where our problem begins, because we have seen such rascals all around us enjoying life. How come they are getting the grace? Second column. We are forgetting the second column, we don't see it. And Swami said, if you are not having sufficient positive karma in your balance, God goes to the second column. That is collateral. Now this is where for the first time in my life I understood why Bhagwan blesses. God's grace will be there. In Telugu he says, Tarataralaki. Tarataralaki means for generations in your family, may God's grace be there. This is what it means. So in our generation, if our forefathers somewhere had done such enormous good work, then as a bonus, a huge amount of positive credit is given to the entire generations, from which the generations can keep growing. That is our collateral. So that is why many times, parents, Bhagavan always advises parents to be ideal parents, because any sin that we do will also credit to our future generations. Any good we do also credits to our future generation. So this is a collateral. Now third one is unbelievable. You would not have even imagined who it is. I think I'll convert it an open quiz session and ask. The third one was a guarantor. Right? So if anybody has heard my experience before in YouTube, please I request you not to talk. The rest of you are open to discuss this. Who do you think is in the third column? Swami said the guarantor. Somebody who says, yeah.
Anybody who prays for you, right?
You heard my talk.
No, I didn't. I swear.
Then you're awesome. Okay, yeah. Swami said, if let us say you have no positive karma credited in your lines, your first column is empty. Let us say your generations, preferred generations, whatever they have earned, everybody is exhausted, so there's no collateral to give, that's in the second column. Over. That is also not there. Then Swami says the third column, your guarantor. Now this is important. He says he starts listening whether anywhere in the world, at any point of time, is praying for you. Swami, this person is a very, very kind-hearted person, is a very helpful person. May he always be happy. May his family always be happy. May he always receive God's grace. Swami said that is enough. That is the guarantee that Bhagavan looks for. He said even if that is there, he'll give you whatever you're asking for. So while all of us make the blunder of seeing the first column always, because it's so materialistic, we rarely look at column 2 and column 3. That is also equally at work over here, but these are beyond our materialistic perception. He knows. You and I don't. So therefore this account book theory, after that I stopped comparisons. After that. Everybody is enjoying and suffering because these three columns are at work over here. Every time somebody is making a supplication to God, these three columns are working over here. Everything works according to that. That's why Bhagavan says, because you really do not know when you are good, because when we do good all the time, our positive karma is building up, our future generation is getting some bonus, and most importantly, somebody will always pray for us. So all the three, that's why Swami said, Seva is very important. Do good, because Seva doesn't give you any salary in return, nothing. It is always having only one aim, and that is the welfare of somebody else. Swami said that is why you must do this Seva each and every moment. And the second thing, therefore, Bhagavan says, first thing is comparison. Let us not compare, because there's a very, very deep, serious work happening in the background. Well beyond our human perception, not at all related to this physical plane. The second one Bhagavan expects when we are doing our sadhana all the time is Trikarana Suddhi. Trikarana Suddhi is very, very important as per Bhagavan. And this Trikarana Suddhi is what we think we should speak, what we speak we should do. And Bhagavan lays enormous importance. In fact, he says this is the barometer by which you know how far your spiritual sadhana has come. Suppose if you are speaking something, if you are thinking something, speaking something and doing something else, that means we are still at glitch, zero in the spiritual sadhana that we are doing. Suppose if you find that your thought and your words are coinciding, but your act is, your deeds are not yet coinciding, you are making progress. Suppose we discover a day when what we are thinking we are speaking and what we are speaking we are doing, our sadhana is in perfect steam at that point of time. So in fact, this Trikarana Suddhi is the barometer which Bhagavan uses to gauge the progress in our spiritual sadhana. In fact, I remember what an enormous significance Bhagavan used to give on this, and and after that possibly I will stop thereafter. So there was one gentleman in the ashram who would every week, because ashram had devotees, permanent residents, and they have their needs to buy toothpaste, toothbrush, other things, people need somewhere. So as a seva, he would run a store in the ashram, and every once in a while he would take a van and he would go to the nearest city, that is Anantapur. In bulk he would buy those things, bring them back and sell them at zero profit basis in the stores, from where these provisions could be purchased. So it so happened that one day when he went to Anantapur, there his van met with a very bad accident. So he was hospitalized there only in Anantapur. And Swami sent Mr. Kutumrao to come and see him. Mr. Kutumrao was one of the earlier generation, many of this generation won't know him. Before Mr. Chiranjeevi Rao, he was there. He was looking after the ashram affairs and all that. Very staunch devotee of Bhagavan, but very scary person. He was such a strict disciplinarian that even when we used to walk, when we used to walk near his room, we used to tiptoe. Because even footsteps come, he'll come out and tell what are you doing at 9 o'clock in the night, and he would chase us back to our dormitories. Very strict. So this person, Swami sent to see this gentleman, and he said, how are you? Just find out how he is and give him this prasadam vibhuti, and he sent the vibhuti. And there, on the bed, this person was resting, and he was so thrilled that Bhagavan had thought of him and sent vibhuti prasadam for him. And he told him, see, when you're going back, can you take a letter from my side? By the time the doctor had seen this person, he had given him medicines and a treatment, but surgery is done. And he said in those days, of course, surgery was not so advanced. So recovery used to take a little longer time. So he said it will take 21 days before you can walk again. And but this person was very, very sad because Dasara was just 10 days away. And this person didn't want to miss Dasara because that Prokshana is there. Prokshana is that holy water which is used. Bhagavan would physically take that and he would sprinkle it on the devotees. And this person didn't want to miss that. But where this person is saying for 21 days he'll be bedridden, he didn't want to miss that chance. So he was feeling very sad. That's when Mr. Kutumrao came. And when he was leaving, so this gentleman asked Mr. Kutumrao, sir, I will write a letter to Bhagavan. Can you please carry it back? He said, please, write, I'll take it back. So he wrote in the letter, Swami, this is what has happened, but I'm feeling very sad that I cannot participate in the Dasara celebrations. This Prokshana I will be missing. I'm feeling very sad, Swami, because the doctor here is saying that, I cannot recover for another 21 days. But Swami, I have always trusted you. You are my mother, father, my doctor, everything. So I know that when you want to do something, you can do it. I have my full faith and prayer in you, Swami. Please take care of me. And he leaves it. So letter goes to Bhagavan. So then he's put on a wheelchair, and about a week later he was discharged. He was brought to Puttaparthi, and for a limited amount of time he would be, because the pain would be unbearable, and he was asked not to move his leg. So he would just come for darshan and he would leave. So during the darshan, Swami came. Just a few more days left for Dasara. Swami saw him and he was so thrilled. He said, "When did you come?" He said, "Swami, I just came yesterday." "Okay, what are the doctors saying?" He said, "Swami, the doctors are saying that I'll take 21 days to recover. I'm really sad, Swami, to see this. I'll be missing Dasara." Swami said, Manchidi, and he went off. Nice, very nice, and he goes away. So this person felt very bad. See, I'm praying to Swami, he's telling nice, 21 days, bed rest, can't move, and he's saying nice. He went away. But more was to follow. So next day when he came for darshan, again Swami comes and he says, his name was Mr. Vacha, by the way. Then he said, Vacha, how are you feeling today? He said, "Swami, I'm fine. So when are you going to walk?" He said, "Swami, I don't know. The doctors are saying I'll take 21 days to walk." Manchidi, and he goes off again. Then third day again he comes, same question. Vacha, when are you going to walk again? He said, "Swami, the doctors are saying 21 days. He's getting a little frustrated now. Same question every day, same answer every day, but Swami is not letting go." Then he goes, that night he went back to his room and he was in a pensive mood. But he's such a great devotee, he knew something was happening, he is missing it. So his wife saw him and said, "Why are you so upset?" He said, "I don't know, same question Swami is asking me every day, I'm giving him the same answer, I'm not able to understand, I'm missing something over here." And she thought and she said, "Okay, let's retrace the entire discussion from the beginning. What happened from the day of your accident?" Then he said, "Okay, well, this happened, Kutuparao came, he gave prasadam, then I wrote a letter." Then she said, "Stop, what did you write in the letter?" Then this person said, "This is what I wrote, and I concluded by Swami, you are my mother, father and everything. You are the doctor for me. I know that whatever you want will happen. I leave everything to you." And Swami said, "Maybe that is what Swami is hinting." The next day, this man he went, fourth day he came, Swami came, Vacha, very nice to see, when are you going to walk? And this time he called Swami and said, "Swami, you are my doctor, whatever you say will happen." Then Swami said, "Why are you repeatedly telling what that doctor is saying?" "Why are you repeatedly telling it?" Then he said, "Swami, I have learned my lesson." Swami said, "You will come for darshan, you will come for the Dasara celebration, I am telling you. I will come there and I will do Prokshana for you." And it happened, he went, JP enjoyed Prokshana from Swami, and he really had a very enjoyable time. But he was tears were streaming down his eyes when he was narrating this to me. He said, "See, that much of time Swami spent on a fool like me to make me understand and knock sense into my head." He said, "Should I consider myself fortunate or should I consider myself as unfortunate, that I'm not learning the lesson?" I said, "Sir, by no ghost of a chance are you unfortunate. You are the most fortunate person. How many people, does Swami take time off to even drive this lesson home? He did that for you. So you must be the most fortunate person. So kindly don't go down that line of being negative about it." So that discussion was very important. I'll just conclude with one very important thing. When I said that these miracles and materializations and other things are basically like milestones. Like in our spiritual journey, like when we are driving somewhere and we see a signpost which should not be there, it means we are not supposed to be there. Signpost is where it is only. We are supposed to be on some other road, we have landed up here by mistake. So miracles are exactly like this. So they keep popping up at times to keep winding us and telling us, listen to the voice of God. Listen to Him. Keep track. So keep track all the time. And all those things. I still remember, while of course this happened when Swami was physically available in his physical form, but I'm sure that whenever we see a miracle or a manifestation of divine glory around us, let us understand there's a message that we need to take home from that. Some message is always there. We need to take that home. Now that is the voice of God which we need to listen. If we ignore it, we are at peril. Nothing happens to anybody. We are the ones who are going to suffer. I will just close with one so-called hilarious incident, but of course I would have actually died in that incident. But Swami found it very funny. I don't know in what way. So, during the super specialty hospital which was being built, lots of the chandeliers used to come from Italy. Swami, one devotee from Italy was saying Italy makes the best chandeliers, Swami. Of course, it was contested by Slovakian devotees, that's another matter. So, but he said, "Swami, I will send the chandeliers for the hospitals. Swami, you please see it." So, this is a standard procedure. So, every time a chandelier would come, there was one more brother, Dilip and I, both of us would assemble it. And Swami would see it. Assembling means, we used to basically have two bamboo poles like this, which have bamboo pole in the between. And we used to, because a chandelier has a central stem, right? So then we used to tie that stem to the bamboo pole and start building the chandelier around it with the bamboo pole for a support. So, we would build it and Swami would come and see the chandelier and say, okay, this chandelier you send it here, this chandelier you send it there. And he would tell us where to put the chandeliers. So once it so happened that one chandelier arrived exactly at around 7:10 when Swami was just about to retire to his room. So Dilip and I discussed and we said, if we start assembling this now, Swami will get delayed. So I'll do one thing, you just block Swami's vision. I will quickly rush with this chandelier small box to behind the stage so that we can always assemble it tomorrow. Otherwise Swami will get delayed. And that plan was executed. Dilip was standing there and I ran behind him with the board, but Swami's eyes are very sharp. So he caught us and he said, what happened? Then we had to tell him, Swami, then we just kept quiet. Chandelier, he said. I said, yes, Swami. He said, why not assembling it? Then we looked at the clock. We didn't talk, we just looked at the clock. Time time is getting over. You didn't want Swami to get late. He said, yes, Swami. It's a small one, no, you build it, I'll stay, it's okay, let us see it, he said. So then we went out. Now again, putting up bamboo poles, putting the rod. I said, it's going to consume even more time. I said, Dilip will do one thing. This is a very small chandelier, I'll do one thing. I will hold the stem in my hand, you quickly build the chandelier around it. Why again putting bamboo poles and all? He said, wow, brilliant idea. And he started assembling it and it worked. So 20 minutes, 25 minutes, he finished assembling the chandelier and I was holding it in my hand. And while the chandelier was being built, Swami came out. Ainda, is it done? And I told Swami just a few more minutes. And Swami looked at my hand holding chandelier and said, don't you think it's better if you tie it to that bamboo pole? I said, no, Swami, it's a very small chandelier. I said, okay, he said, and he went off. So that when I told you in the beginning of my talk that Maya is the most powerful around him, I was the biggest victim of it possibly. So then he went. Second time, once again he came, Ainda, is it done? He said, Swami, little more, another 5 minutes it will be done. Again he warned me, don't you think it's better you tie it to that bamboo pole? I said, no, Swami, it is almost done. This time he said, Ni ishtam, your wish. And he went, given up. This fellow is not going to learn. Only through the hard way he is going to learn. He has given up. Third time when he came, it was ready and I was holding my hand like this and Swami said, done? Yes, Swami, it is done. Swami said, okay, put on the switch. So they put on the switch, chandelier lit and I started dancing with it like this. I was getting electrocuted. Somewhere a wire was touching the rod inside and I was dancing like this. So Chiranjiro is looking at me, what has happened to this fellow? Dilip is looking at me, till now he was fine, what is wrong with this fellow? Swami's reaction was the most unpredictable. He was holding his sides, laughing and collapsed in a chair. And he was just pointing at me like this and laughing. I was dancing with it like this, he pointing at me and ha ha ha, he was laughing like this. And then Swami got the words out, switch, he started and between his laughs and Dilip understood I'm getting electrocuted, ran and he put off the switch. I saved the chandelier by the way. I gave the chandelier to Dilip and dham, I collapsed. Swami was still laughing and I was holding his sides, he came up and looked down at me, I was still like this, still not knowing what to do. And Swami said, wagging his finger, next time when I tell you something, you better listen. Next time, that means I'm going to make this blunder once again, he's sure about it. When I tell you, that means he's himself not sure whether he's going to tell me or not. If you listen, that choice is still with me. It is good for you. That's the final thing. Next time, if you listen, good for you. So that is the voice of God that is always talking to us through every moment of divine manifestation that we see around us. We need to take it in that spirit. Nobody is blessed, nobody is cursed because a manifestation has happened in a particular way with a particular person. Manifestation has a message, we need to see that message. Understanding the message right is the level of sadhana which we have progressed with. But the bottom line is that is always the voice of God that is trying to tell us something is there, which we need to understand and practice. So with these few words, I would like to stop here. Thank you once again for giving me this lovely opportunity. It's a very memorable moment for me to carry back from this vacation, even though it's a vacation. I think it is spiritually, it has been a very uplifting experience to talk over here. Thank you very much and may Swami bless all of us. Jai Sairam.
Sairam. Let's give another loud applause. Among other things, we are indeed amazed at your eloquence and clarity of thought, Brother Sainath. We thank Brother Sainath for sharing Swami's love with us today and for the thought-provoking insights and experiences. We have received many powerful and inspiring messages from Swami this evening through Brother Sainath, which we hope to imbibe in our daily lives. Swami says, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. After we listen, we need to contemplate, internalize, put into practice. The aim, of course, is to go beyond intellectual understanding and achieve a direct spiritual and experiential realization. In the meantime, as we bask in the glory of Sri Sathya Sai Avatar, let us pray that we learn the right lessons, which in turn helps us transform ourselves for the better and inspire us to go through life's ups and downs with increased faith, courage and wisdom. We thank you all once again for being here this evening. We shall close with Aarati. May I ask Brother Shivan Prashant to please come forward to sing the Aarati.